Hey, what's up, bookworms? I want to talk to you today about e-readers and just digital books overall. I know there's a lot of people, myself included, if you look behind me, that are traditionalists and they think I can only read out of a real book, or there's nothing that beats the feel of reading out of a real book. That's true, but sometimes you're traveling and you just got Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, and it weighs 9 pounds, and you don't want to put that on you don't want to have to pay extra to check that baggage for your plane trip. So that's when I really started to accept, okay, there's some things I'm just going to have to read on a digital reader because this weighs less than a pound. Then I can fit my entire library on here. So I finally stopped being like snobbish about that kind of stuff. I'd say 7, 8 years ago. And it was when I was really starting to begin my C.V. King reread. And a lot of times I'd want to read in bed. And I decided it would feel much nicer if I fell asleep and this fell and hit me in the nose instead of the hardcover of 11/22/63, which is pretty much the weight of a small child. That falling on your nose, not so much fun. But something that I've noticed lately, the last couple of years, is I've really increased the amount of reading. Not only that I do on an e-reader, and when I was be specific here, an iPad. I noticed that reading a lot of the times in the dark because I don't want to wake my wife up, and I felt like my vision had started deteriorating. That's what these are all about, the reading glasses. I don't usually wear these in videos because, as you can see, the glare. Yeah, it's kind of annoying. Anyway, so I wanted to wear them for this to just kind of prove my point here that I felt like my vision was starting to go, and so I started to feel like, think what is actually causing this so late in life. I turned 41 in about a week here, and I'm like, why is my vision failing this late? I had corrective surgery in my 20s, LASIK, and my eyesight's been fine, but lately, like, even watching TV is starting to become a hassle. And the only thing I could put it to is this is when I started really reading a lot in the dark off of my iPad, and I started to do some research. Two things. One, I learned that apparently, look, as you can see here, that's such a great book. Anyway, I use the iBooks app, and as you can see here, I've been reading on a black background with white text, and I just learned apparently that is very bad. Apparently, you're supposed to read white background with black text, and that's supposed to be much better for your eyesight. I mean, it makes sense. This is looks like a book. It's messing up the lighting in it. This looks more like a book than, the black screen does. But even then, it's apparently the LCD screen. Obviously, you hear all the time staring at our phones is going to make us go blind by the time we're 50. I mean, it's starting to look like that might be true. But so I wanted to do something about this, obviously, because I feel like I'm in that Twilight Zone episode. Take these off now. I feel like I'm in that Twilight Zone episode where everyone on Earth dies except the one guy who loves to read, and he finds a library, and he's got enough books to read, and no one to bother him for the rest of his life. And then he breaks his glasses and he can't read anymore. So I'm starting to feel like that. I got all this great stuff I want to read, and I feel like my eyesight's starting to go. Obviously, I don't think I'm going blind at this moment or anything like that, but obviously it's a trend I wanted to stop. So I started doing my research. And basically the most feedback and comments I got was, you need to make the switch to a Kindle. And I was like, I like my iPad because I have everything in one place. I got all my apps, I got all my notes, I got all my, if I want to access the internet, a database or anything, just to refer to anything, I can do Goodreads from there, all that good stuff. Yeah, apparently that is not a reason to keep reading digital books. Someone brought up that when you've got something like an iPad as an e-reader, you're going to be distracted easily, and you're going to be torn away from your book, easily distracted. That's true. I've found myself numerous times, been in the middle of reading a book, and, let me check Twitter real fast since it's right here. So I guess I can see that's the case. But I've seen all the time the Kindle talks about, you can read it anywhere. It's not a mirror like the iPad is, where you can read it outside. You can, read it in full fluorescent lights above you, anything like that. I said, iPad's fine. I can just get it at an angle I want. But if it's really what's tearing up my eyes, I was willing to make the investment in something new. I said I didn't want to start my entire library over. I have a ton of stuff that I bought. However, I have bought a lot of it off of the Kindle store and use the Kindle app and just kind of what's the word I'm looking for? I've used is it Calibre or Caliber to turn those into EPUBs and put them on my iPad because that's a much easier format for it to read. So I can use Calibre the same way. If it's Caliber or Calibre, I don't know. I've never heard it actually said. For those who don't know, it's the best way to organize a book library. It's basically like iTunes for books, but not as controlling. If you're someone like me and you get OCD to the point where you want all of your books to have the proper cover art, the same size, to be matching, stuff like that, it's really clutch. It really helps out for things like that. But anyway, I can convert all those back to MOBI to put them back on a Kindle. So that's not a big deal. It's just going to be a lot of work of pulling everything off the iPad, converting it, moving it over, making sure everything's numbered and labeled correctly, stuff like that. Again, not a big deal, not a big deal. So I bit the bullet the other day, and I went ahead and I bought a Kindle Paperwhite. And I've been reading all kinds of reviews on it, watched all kinds of videos, did all my homework. It sounds like, it's a little pricier because I paid for the one, that they market it as with special offers. And what that means is you're paying to have ads. You pay like $20 more and you can buy the version that does not have ads. I will pay more than $20 not to have ads or pop-ups while I'm reading books because that sounds obnoxious as hell. I bought the kids Kindle Fires one time on a Prime Day because they were like $30, and I was like, wow, that's great for their first tablet. I don't care if they break it or not because it's not a big deal. But I got those with the offers, and yeah, those ads are everywhere. A lot of people say, oh, it ain't so bad. But if you're one of those people who's annoyed, it doesn't flat out pop up. It doesn't have a pop up like while you're reading your book, but basically getting there is a big nightmare, and you got to wait for something. Sometimes there's nothing more obnoxious than when you have to wait to load an ad. That is very much a peeve of mine. So I went ahead, I bit the bullet, I paid for the one without special offers. It's like $150. Again, that seems like quite a bit for something that is just going to be something that I already have. But however, I'd like to not have to go have another laser eye surgery and get cataracts, by the time I'm 45 because I could not stop reading on my iPad. So I don't know if this is going to help, but I'm definitely going to do that, and I'm going to. I don't really get into all the. I've said before I don't do reaction trailers, stuff like that. I don't usually do a lot of the unboxings or reviews, stuff like that. But since this is book related, I was going to go ahead and break that rule a little bit and talk about basically starting with a Kindle Paperwhite and what I think of it. And it should be showing up here any minute now. I was doing the tracking on Amazon, and the delivery man was in my neighborhood. So I'll get it, and I'll open it up, and I'll continue this video then. Okay, so it just showed up, and it was so light in the package, I literally thought it was an empty box. This thing weighs nothing, and it's in the packaging. So it's kind of crazy. Another thing is you get so used to reading with an iPad, this is going to seem really tiny. Or here's the actual size of it, I guess. Actual size. This is going to seem so tiny after reading off of an iPad for the last 7-8 years. So, but let's open her up and take a peek at her, and then I'll actually get it started and stuff because you guys don't want to watch me do a startup screen and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure. I know at least when I watch these kind of things, I never want to watch any of that stuff. So I'll set it up, and after I open it here, and get some use out of it, and then show you guys what I think about it just right off the bat. I do think for $150, you could at least give me a plug instead of just a USB cable. You can at least give me a wall adapter. But hey, it is what it is. I mean, if you're at this point, just about every device you use has one of those. So, and also it takes a little bit of an hour to charge these things, and apparently they last for like weeks. So that's different than an iPad for sure. Interesting packaging. Black on black. It's like Metallica's Black albums, but for books. I'm probably really showing my age on that one. So yeah, that's ridiculously tiny compared to my iPad. So that's going to take some getting used to. It's like reading a paperback, which I don't do. I only read hardcovers or digital. So wow, this is going to be weird. Got a case for it too. You can pay that much for something. What's another 20 bucks for a case, right? I mean, because you got two kids running around the house. Chances are, even though they have no interest in reading books like this, they're going to find a way to drop it. So let me get her started up and check out some of the stuff, and then I'll talk to you guys about what I think about it. So now that I've had about 5 days of using this little thing, I can definitely say while there is a learning curve, like at first it just felt way too tiny. Like I said, I've been using an iPad for years. So, but I mean, that went away after about a day. I got used to holding it with one hand instead of two. You know, reading this in the dark, I can already tell a difference. Like, I got to the point where it felt like I was seeing like halos around like the TV frame and stuff when I was watching TV because my vision was getting so bad. And it's already going away. Just after 5 days of not using, I haven't even turned on my iPad since I got this because I've got my phone. I'm still looking at my phone, but I put it in that night watch mode or whatever it's called to make it where you don't have the blue light. So it has the blue light filter on. So that hasn't been bothering me for a while. So all I've been using is just my phone and the Kindle, and my eyesight already feels better. I don't have to use the reading glasses to read off of this. And there is a learning curve with it. Like I know, guys, if you're wanting like a full-on like unpacking and what this thing can do, this isn't the channel for that. I really just want to talk about the difference and if I thought it was going to help my eyesight. The user interface is a little different, getting used to. I mean, it's like there's no color is kind of annoying, in case when you got these really nice covers and stuff and you want to see them in color and stuff like that. But I mean, if it's just all you want to do is just read on this thing, I definitely think it's probably the way everyone should go because, like I said, I am having no vision problems reading this. I've read in the dark while my wife was asleep for like 2 hours the other night. No problems the next day. I didn't have any problems sleeping. And a lot of things said that the blue light is what will keep you from sleeping. It'll disturb your sleep. I haven't slept well since I've had kids, honestly, but I thought that was more because of the kids. But I mean, this is on brightness of like 4, and I mean I can read that in the dark, and it's crystal clear. Crystal clear. By the way, 81%. That's how far I am in King of Thorns. I'm almost done with it. Anyhow, so I mean, I just wanted to really talk to you guys about if you knew this reading on a black background, white text was bad. If you knew reading off of an iPad was apparently bad. I know that Kindle has hyped for years about you can read in the direct sunlight. You can read in underneath fluorescent light, and it's not a problem. But I've never heard anybody being like, yeah, you also won't go blind if you read off of our device. So, again, this isn't a scientific study or anything. It's just, my personal experiences. And, I mean, like I said, after a couple days of using the thing, I already feel a difference. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a very easy recommend if you got the cash to buy another, or just a dedicated reader, or, if I had it to do again, I would probably go into a store and try the Kobo, just because of the whole color thing. And again, I know that's a nitpick and it has nothing to do with it as a reading device. That's just something I'm very OCD about making sure that all my all my covers are the same size and they match. It's just like with hardcovers. I want to make sure they all are matching. Make sure that everything is the same size. And again, that's a nitpick. But as just a reader, this thing is very solid. And I mean, I've already put about 600 books on here, and that's why it took me like 5 days, and I barely went over a gig. I've got like 5 gigs of space left. So yeah, the 8 gig model, which really means 2 gigs is already used by the time you get it, because you know how computers are. Oh, you bought a 300 gigabyte hard drive, here's 230 gigs of space. Like, what? But yeah, you're never going to run it if you don't do audiobooks or comics on here. You're going to have plenty of space. I know a lot of people have talked about it's very difficult to read manga off of this. I don't read manga, but I do read a lot of comics. That's what my iPad is going to be dedicated specifically for comics now, because you need that full color. You need that bigger screen. You can do comics on here, but it's not good. It's not fun. You have to pan and zoom on everything. The print's kind of hard to read. And yeah, it's not that device. This is just strictly a text-based device. And if that's what you're looking for, it's a glowing review for me so far. I'm loving using this thing. I already obviously clearly love to read, but I'm like excited when it's time to sit down in the dark and read off this thing, because I've gotten used to just, go and just read with one hand. It's it's different, but you get used to it really quick, and I really feel like this is going to be really good for my vision. Now it's just, was it too little too late? Is my vision already screwed? We'll see next time I visit the optometrist, but I still do the little chart where you get like 14 inches away and you read the lines, and I'm still the very weakest amount of needing reading glasses. But like I said, I haven't needed reading glasses the last few nights reading this distance, and I did with my iPad. So there we go. Not a scientific study. That's just my experience with it. What about you guys? Anybody have problems reading off of an iPad? Has anybody had one of these? You have another e-reader that you prefer? Hey, let me know what you think, and I will talk to you guys next time.